right, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to 1 Million Cups Chico. My name is Tim Sharkey. I'm one of the organizers with Chico Start. And we'd like to thank our sponsors this morning. And those sponsors are the Idea Fab Labs, which is an awesome facility. 6 Degrees Coffee, which is awesome. I needed that today. We have BCAC with their time and resources to help put us out on the internet and the world. And we also have, who else is there? Chico Start. Oh, I mentioned it. Chico Start and Wendy Porter for actually putting all this together. We have to say thank you to her and her idea and her vision to help make the community a better entrepreneurial place to play in Chico. So 1 Million Cups was created by the Kaufman Foundation, a nonprofit back east. Coffee plays a huge role in our everyday morning lives. We get up, we have a cup of coffee on the way to work. Once we get to work, the afternoon cup, the afternoon walk around downtown, the evening cups of coffee or pints of beer. That might happen. And around all those are conversations about ideas and wants and dreams and how you can put those together and reaching out to your community and your friends to support your ideas. And that's where this is an awesome platform to come and share those ideas in front of your friends and community and complete strangers to get real feedback in a safe environment. And that's what 1 Million Cups is all about. So if you know somebody has an idea or talks about their ideas, have them get a hold of us so we can put you up on this stage to get your 6 minutes out there, your idea out to the world, and get real feedback to let you know that yes, you're not the only crazy person out there. There's a whole world of us out there. So with that, I'd like to introduce Tim Lefelt with WaterRipper. He has an existing business. It's a little bit different format. He's going to talk to us about his trials and tribulations and how he's gotten onto the market. And then after we do that, we'll do a little question and answer. And he brought some props and some little demonstration items so we can look at. So I'll be handing those around once we do the question and answer. And ladies and gentlemen, Tim with WaterRipper.
Hi everybody. Cheers to 1 Million Cups for putting us on. And, appreciate the introduction. I ran into Aaron with the Fab Lab, and he and his kids were in the water at 1 Mile playing with, just playing, and I threw out a ball, and next thing, after a little bit of throwing the ball around, here I am. I plan to put on show you a bunch of slides and talk over the slides and show you part of a presentation I put together for Shark Tank Season 7 a few years ago. I plan to share my story, talk about how I got started, success and failures, and kind of what's next, and open it up to any questions. I'm going to start with a video. It's about 1.5 minutes, and
another big idea coming out of Chico. I'm Brian Callahan. Coming up, we'll show you how this little ball could change the way you look at water sports.
this is at 1 Mile. And this was like in the early days of testing it out. There's some props that we came up with and used in different locations. This is up on Lake Siskiyou. And this is some of the early testing of the WaterRipper. And this is showing it rolling on water. Because it absorbs water, it tends to roll.
Yeah, anywhere near the water.
They're about 90 feet apart. Very accurate. There's another short video just showing it in action in Kauai.
I'm throwing heat. You got handle it.
Okay. So this was kind of the first plate for the Shark Tank season 7, and they actually lost my application. That's kind of one of the things I can mention later. So I'm the founder and CEO of RipperballSports.com. We create the WaterRipper and amphibious water sports toy and recreational product designed for water use that will revolutionize the water sports industry. 9 years ago, I encountered a problem while trying to play a surf catch with a leading water toy, and found that we spent more time chasing after it than actually playing with it. And as an architect who loves water sports, this was a problem maybe to try to solve. I made a discovery over 30 years ago and decided that I could come up with a superior water toy. And let me show you my little friend. This is the WaterRipper, and it's a handmade, it's made in Pakistan. It's handmade and hand sewn. Essentially a hacky sack designed for water use. I then pioneered a whole bunch of sports related to it that use various launchers and chuckets and nets, and we use noodles and various things as sort of accessories to interact with the water toy. Ripperball Sports is looking for a partner with a sports background and market expertise to take the WaterRipper and the games to a new level. The original kind of observation was that a hacky sack got lost in the surf in Kauai over 30 years ago. We were playing with it on the beach. It went missing, and someone came up to us and said, "I think that's your ball out there." A buddy of mine swam after it, and instead of swimming it back, he threw it, and we all watched it skip across the water and just couldn't believe it. All went running in, and for the rest of the vacation, we couldn't put it down. So that was an original, leather hacky sack that had those properties. I immediately ordered a hacky sack before the internet through the U.S. Trade Patent Office, and got the patent for the hacky sack, and I bought some hacky sacks and took them apart and kind of reverse engineered it, tried to figure out what was unique about it. And at that time, this was over 30 years ago, I was talked out of doing anything with it because the attorneys that I was working with on some other products kind of pointed out that the effective market on it would be pretty limited, and that the patent was still in effect with the hacky sack, and I'd be kind of wasting my time. It wasn't until I was, I jumped to 2009, I was in Bird in Hand in Chico. I was headed on vacation, checking on some products that I sold there already, and looked down and saw, which is my major competitor, it's called the Waboba ball. And it's a bouncy ball about the same size as the WaterRipper. And I asked Thad about it, and he said, "Yeah, it's a water ball that's on the market." And I explained the story of the WaterRipper and Kauai and everything. At that time, it wasn't the WaterRipper, it was just a hacky sack. So I took that ball and I took it on vacation, and within minutes of trying it out, realized that the original hacky sack had much more superior qualities than the world's foremost selling water ball called the Waboba ball. The Waboba ball is essentially a gel ball. They're very popular. They're sold all over the world. And all they do is bounce. They repel water. The WaterRipper has an inner ball. This is the patent abstract and diagram. An inner absorbing ball surrounded by resin pellets, all contained in a bag and then all sewn or contained in the bag and then placed inside a hand-sewn ultra suede jacket that's essentially a hacky sack, or it's a baseball stitch. It's two panels that fit into each other. So it's a completely different type of design, and that I had to work around on the patent to deal with the prior art, which was the boba ball and other bouncy balls. I had to come up with a unique design patent for a hand-stitched water bag designed for, if I read it, a water skipping bag to include liquid permeable cover having hydrophobic exterior surface and enclosed interior chamber, liquid permeable pouch, and so on. So it's basically a bag, and sort of safety features of impact were designed into or claimed in the patent, that it's fun and safe. I mean, more than fun, it's safe because of its low impact design. So the competition I've kind of addressed a little bit at the World Selling Ball, but the low impact design has its advantages. When it leaves the pool, it rolls and doesn't bounce, where a ball is bouncing all over the place. It doesn't behave like a ball, it behaves like a bag. So it's on impact, it flattens out. It makes it very easy to catch. You can catch it with your fingers. There's an ease of use and safety. Sports trainers like it. The BYU Splash Lab, which is a lab that does all kinds of research, has tested it and compared it to other balls and other water toys on the market. The Wounded Warriors and aquatic camps, the Boy Scouts have used the WaterRipper. So the WaterRipper is, I mean, its effective market is, there's 325 million people in the United States. A third of them use waterways, rivers, lakes, pools, and so on. So we're, you know, at the beaches, at the lakes, at the pools, and so on. There's also an amphibious quality about the WaterRipper. When it's not wet, it can be played just like a beanbag. And here's a kid playing with it using a modified, I have one here, modified lacrosse stick that becomes a racket instead of a big long stick. We also have private labeling, where we can do logos for custom corporate uses. And I've done a few for camps and so on. This is just an example of the potential for the market. And all those beach lovers. And then some of the sort of more niche uses for boating and general water play. This is a Malibu boat, and we were between a kayak and a boat playing with it, fetching it, and the guy jumping off the boat to try to catch it. Another beach scene. We prefer kind of less crowded beaches wherever we go. This is noodle technology. This is using a noodle as a bat, and you can use them as rings and other things to set up targets and even goals. The fun on floats. This is nearby at the Forbay Aquatic Center, and during a school outing, Durham Rec Park group came out, and every year we play with it. We also invented a game called water golf, or ripper golf, where you use these chuckets or other various launchers and identify targets. We did set up a course out at Scotty's Landing and this was one of the buoys.
Love that place.
Yeah, and unfortunately the waterway there is so narrow and
Yeah.
filled with the high.
With drunk college kids?
Lots of pools in certain areas in the United States, and so it's a lot of fun to use these at public pools or in your backyard. This happens to be at a hotel pool. Then Ripper sponsors and users over the years. We've kind of kept track of those. This was kind of in the height of my personal marketing effort, but there's aquatic therapy, special needs, autistic programs, surf stores, outdoors, boating, paddlers, floaters, college bookstores. I mean, there's a ton of kind of markets and other sporting industries that take an interest in it. Again, the logo and licensing, place logo here. This is in co-branding and licensing. We designed a iPhone app for the WaterRipper, and that is on the website. I haven't. Had some issues with how that rolled out. The developer of it lost the source code, and it was an effort. Well, it was launched, and then we went into a redesign of it, and it still exists, but I can't make changes to it. And it was a fun effort, but unfortunately, it's kind of frozen in time. But it still works, and it kind of demonstrates the use of the WaterRipper in 30 levels.
Tim, you've got a couple minutes left.
Okay, thanks. These are some of this is called Quack Shoot. This is a game where you shoot at a rubber ducky. This is a pool dispenser, chlorine dispenser that we've modified. Here it is here. Put a handle on it, and you launch it into a pool with uprights, and also as a container for the WaterRipper. And then these are Whammo rackets or water launchers that they sell at Big Five and other stores. So we use a number of third-party devices, and there's potential to link up with these. My ultimate goal is to find a licensee that will manufacture and distribute the WaterRipper, pretty much run with it complete. And I had a licensee that I've had two licensees, some of the failures and successes and so on.
In the event, like a dog or something rips it open at the beach, what's the environmental impact of the material?
Good question. The resin pellets and contents are all safe to the environment. I mean, it is a plastic material. It's high density resin pellets that are the basis of all plastics. And that's all contained in a sack. Dogs use it, but we don't recommend it being used as like a pet toy. We're not selling it that way. We don't want to deal with vet bills. And just the other day I was playing with someone who had a dog at 1 mile, and it's easy to play with. We have looked into hemp fabric for the outside and actually tested it and found it was too rough to hold up because of just the weave of hemp. But this is an ultra suede jacket that is essentially like it's a heavy duty ultra suede that would be used on upholstery in cars and so on. So all the materials, the inside ball is a rubber ball. So there's nothing that's really toxic about it, but it is, there's several parts to it as compared to my competition, which is a gel ball, which is just a bouncy rubber ball, silicone ball.
I am curious, I have a bunch of questions. I'm curious about what your price point is. I'm wondering where your how you get your products into individual places and where you see your business in 5 to 10 years.
Price point is, it costs me FOB overnight or air from Pakistan. I manufacture in Pakistan and have from the beginning. It costs $1.75. That price can come down on a large order, but I generally order 200 at a time. I currently don't have a rep or major retail, box retail. I have stores in Hawaii and some other stores that by ordering 200 at a time, I can service all my sales. This is really not my primary business. This is really a marketing effort that I would like to see, you know, obviously meet its goal, which has been the goal from day one, which is to find a licensee to manufacture and distribute. So it sells, so it costs $1.75 landed, and I add a label and put it in a bag. The bag comes with it.
Can you circulate your retail pack?
Oh, yeah. And I staple this on, you know, I haven't even got to the point where I've ordered, you know, mass or a large printing of the bags, because really, when it was sold by my licensee, it was sold in 5,000 unit batches, and we sold close to 40,000 units in the first 2 years. I had to cancel my contract with my licensee, and since then I've been making these on my own. So it retails for under $10, $8.99.
And is that for the one bag, or is that for?
Yeah, one is $8.99, and then those are generally, I mean, you could say roughly wholesale $5 to a store, and then $5.50 to a store on the single, and then $5 for the triple.
Okay.
Meaning 15 total for the triple.
And then what is this retail for three? And what is this $8.99 retail for the single?
Yeah.
And
15, was it 15 you said?
15 for the triple.
That's the wholesale.
so 15 is wholesale. What's the retail on it?
Now, wholesale, it really depends on the size of the order, but that's 15 wholesale to, like on the three, wholesale to a store. They can buy up to a minimum a dozen even. I mean, I don't have large order discounts unless I get into a situation with a licensee.
What's your economy of scale from Pakistan? What's your next price point or drop over 200? So what point do you have to be to get a significant discount off that?
There isn't that much of a discount, quite honestly.
Okay, that's fair.
If you're a large, I mean, we're talking more like 1,000 units or more, you would get around $225 each. It would come down to, that's, yeah, per ball.
Mm-hmm.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
How did you get connected with the manufacturer in Pakistan?
That's a good question too. That involved trying to come up with a prototype. In order to, you know, I discovered the Hacky Sack and its uses. And it's like, well, how do I make one that is different from a Hacky Sack and performs better than a Hacky Sack? So I ordered individual Hacky Sacks, cut them open, put in different contents, and eventually came across, I mean, I kind of questioned, well, where can I have this manufactured to do a short run that would be a prototype? I originally contacted the Footbag Association out of Colorado, and they manufacture, and they kind of questioned why I was wanting to sort of have these special requirements. And I ended up going with a company called Dirtbag Hacky Sack or Footbags up in Oregon, and they started a company in Pakistan that is called Expo Star, and they manufactured, or they made my first run of, I think it was 25 prototypes, and it was based on a description that I gave them, basically Hacky Sack specs, but put in these contents. And from that point on, I've had the best manufacturing with this group in Pakistan. My first licensee tried to take it to China, and they even, in working through trying to identify or get a prototype from them, which was be approved, they have to meet the patent specs. And I said, okay, if you're going to take it to China, show me what they can do. And the first one I got was the size of a grapefruit. And I said, I've sent you a WaterRipper that's made in Pakistan for you to copy. And, I was shocked that they, came up with something that was, like apples and oranges. So that can be a real problem in trying to maintain a spec of a product. Having one manufacturer that can do it and trying to maintain that quality and that specification. Because basically your patent is licensing them to manufacture and possibly distribute. And you need to be quality control because nobody else is looking after the product or knows it as well as you do when it comes to manufacturing. Yeah.
I noticed that in one of your slides, you mentioned that the ball itself floats.
Yeah.
But I haven't heard you say that, and
okay.
I was really having to look for that.
I'm sorry.
That was a natural question, I think.
Yeah, it is part of my presentation. I kind of skipped over that. Kind of in the basic properties of the ball, with what I was describing as the inner ball, the jacket, and everything. All the materials are a high density material that's neutral density in terms of its respect to the scale, well, water being 0. So everything floats, and then the ball, the bag absorbs water, and that gives it density, and that's what makes it, like right now you're handling it and it's dry and it's like, really this ball travels as fast as a baseball or, has these unique properties on water. That's only when it absorbs the water and takes on almost 3/4 of its weight in water. And that's what you're throwing at people, whether you're using a chuck it or just throwing it. So it'll easily cross the width of 1 mile. Kids can throw it across 1 mile once it gets that weight. So it'll never sink. It'll always float because of its specific density materials. Yeah.
But obviously you have a big hacky sack industry out there, and what is preventing somebody from just using a hacky sack? And I understand the floatability and that. I'm just sort of trying to get into the mind of the consumer.
Yeah.
And them looking on a shelf or primarily online because that's where 90% of retail is headed.
Right.
So we want to go over there first.
Yeah.
We talk about retail.
That brings up a number of issues. I'll start with the online. That I found that WaterRipper is an impulse purchase and it's seasonal. Most people don't even really think about water until summer months come. And America generally purchases their product on an end cap, or their water toys and their little pails and buckets and stuff for the beach at Walmart or retail stores, big box retail. And that's where it was placed initially. Online sales have really eluded me. It's hard to put the word out and couple it with all of the marketing. So I get very few sales online, even though it's a really cool product and all. And then the difficulty of differentiating it on the shelf between other products.
Well, thank you everybody for your time and showing up to 1 Million Cups, Chico edition. And we'd like to thank our sponsors once again, Idea Fab Labs, BCAC, 6 Degrees Coffee, and Chico Start for getting this together. And if you haven't signed up for our Facebook page, please go out and do it. Take a look at our online, our Twitter. And I think that's it.
Get the game ball.
Right there. Till next week. We'll have some fun.